Okay, I might be able to record this. All right, we got 5 factors of production. All right. Pardon? No. Your first name?
Shabir.
Shabir. Do you mind collecting them? Put them to the end so that Shabir can collect them for you. Speak now for whoever owed your peace as we go into market system and circular flow.
You're not doing that if our spelling's bad, right?
No, not at all.
What you were saying with the Head Start last class, the Head Start actually is right now, I'm on the board of the Head Start in Monroe County for right now. And they're actually getting funding to do like 1 to 3.
Very good.
So we're working on getting funding for the 1 to 3.
Very good.
And then the actual Head Start, 3 to 5.
Hopefully they get more funding because their funding was cut.
I'm on the policy council, so all I do is the money and all of that. And we did get a funding
Okay.
to try to do it, so now we're working on getting the 0 to 3.
Very good, very good. Okay, 5 factors of production. All right, what are they? Natural resources.
Technology,
Pardon? Technology.
capital,
Capital.
Entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
labor.
And labor. Okay. Oh, easier way to kind of, and that's great. They're all, and so how many got all 5? Okay. Kind of easy to remember, like do this, like land, labor, capital. Like 2 L's and a C. And then you can do the entrepreneur and technology. All right. Land, labor, capital. Those are kind of our main 3. And then we added on the technology and information, entrepreneurship and innovation. But those are the resources that every economic system works with. Now, what we have in the economic systems within the world is they're divided into 2. We have a command system, and then we have a market system. Now, the command system, just go here and I'll go back, basically deals with socialism and communism. Here's the difference as it relates to the market systems that we have within the United States is who owns and controls the resources. Remember I told you last week, and I say it in other classes, that you can, feed a man, a fish dinner, you can teach him how to fish. But if you teach him how to own the resource, own the pond. In a command system, the government basically controls the resources. Now, in command systems, when you're looking at communism and socialism, there's a split between the 2. With communism, the government controls all the resources and how they're distributed. Okay? Now, when we look at socialism, there is government control of major resources, but there still can be private enterprise. So within a socialistic society, there's areas where, your main resources, like for example, healthcare, that is controlled by the government. I will tell you back in decades ago when Bill Clinton was in office, and Hillary Clinton was the first lady, her agenda was national health care, trying to get it passed back in the mid-90s for national health care reform. Like every first lady has to have an agenda. Like First Lady Michelle Obama is childhood obesity and support for the military families. That's her agenda. With Hillary, it was national health care. But the problem with national health care is a lot of it was with our mindset, not that it doesn't have any bugs at this point, but it was our mindset because we felt that if the government controlled health care, then they had too much control of our life. Like, for instance, if, we had organ transplants, they could be rationed because of government control. And this fear of moving from a capitalistic society to more of a socialistic society is really what deterred a lot of it. So it didn't pass. So national health care under her regime was not accepted. But it's the resources. So we have communism where government controls everything. If we need dentists and you're in school, guess what you're going to be? All right? So no choice there. Versus socialism where there still is private enterprise. You still can own and control part of your outcome and destiny and, fruits of your labor, that type of thing. The market system, which is what the United States has, we have government control of regulation. So, it's not kind of a free will type of, bar none and just do whatever you want to, because that would be chaos. But we still have more freedoms than, of course, communistic systems or socialistic systems. I'm not sure if I said it last week. When you look at the history, the documentaries of the former USSR, what we saw from the outside was a facade, because the former Soviet Union was actually imploding. You saw a pristine militia from the outside, everybody walking in duck step. Has everybody ever seen movies like that in social studies class about the former USSR? I mean, just the whole, just like in Korean China, just the whole duck step thing. And the militia was pristine. But here was the problem. People that lived within the economy, they couldn't feed their families. They weren't making enough money. So they had literally militia at, manufacturing plants and holding, people with gunpoint kind of thing to get the work done. But they didn't care. They were like, I have no incentive to do a good job because I can't even feed myself and my family. So, go ahead and shoot me, kind of thing. And that's why innovation and entrepreneurship is extremely important. But the market system that we have, we are under a capitalistic system, but we are considered mixed capitalistic. Okay, so we have some government regulation. We do have government regulation, all right?
I got confused reading that.
We do have government regulation. Where it says private ownership of resources, that's what I'm talking about. You can have your own slice of the American pie. You can start your own business, you can do what you want in that sense. So you have private ownership. But there's still government regulation. Because when you go into microeconomics and they look at market models, you will find you look at cost curves relating to monopolies. Why are monopolies so bad for your economy? Is because the prices they can charge, because nobody else is offering that product, that service. So it's awful. So government comes in and says, hey, you know what? We can't have this. Competition is where it needs to be. All right? And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So market system, you have private property, freedom of enterprise, freedom of choice, self-interest, competition, market, and prices. Yes?
Would that also be like an analogy, like monopoly, if they have a monopoly on it?
Yeah.
People say that?
Yes, the monopoly. You are the one that owns it all, okay? Now, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Competition, all right? We look at the invisible hand of competition. And that's with Adam Smith, who's known as one of the fathers of economics. What Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations understood is that when there is competition in your economic system, you get the better goods and services because there's competition. Because there's competition. So competition for our economy is a good thing, because then they have to fight for your dollar. And I'll take us back a little bit, and we'll talk a lot about this later in the course, and that is the deregulation of the banking industry. deregulation of the banking industry started to occur during the Reagan administration. Just to kind of give you a timeline, what happened with 1929, 1930, we had the major depression, right? Crash. Well, the government stepped in and said to the financial districts and financial industry, guess what? You guys are not going to be able to do anything without our approval. So they literally put a chokehold on the financial district or financial industry. And so they really had banking had very limited activity in regards to creativity. And I say this in class so you kind of understand what I'm talking about here. So after 1930, in the midst of the Depression, banking operated under this for a long time. Banking operated under what we call a 363 rule, all right? Because of government regulation, because they said we're never going to go back to that Depression and what we went through. So banks basically bought money, all right, at 3% interest. They sold it at 6%, and they were golfing by 3 p.m. All right? So that's the 363 rule. And that's how banks flowed. Because they couldn't do anything. They could only buy at 3, sell at 6, and golf by 3. Very boring, very kind of state of the art until deregulation. Yes?
What do you mean by golfing?
Like they're on the golf course. Boop.
I thought it had like some.
No, just golfing. All right? So, what happened under the Reagan administration is the government stepped back from banking. So from the Depression all the way up to mid-90s, I mean, there wasn't a lot of happening in the banking industry. So, but when deregulation happened, the government stepped back from banking and said, okay, you know what, we trust you, you got it. Bad move, all right? Because what happened is they just went wild. And the financial district, and this is where, I showed you the little thing. Did I show it in this class in regards to the crisis of credit and the housing thing? I'll show you that cartoon. Maybe we'll get to it today, hopefully. But basically, they just kind of went wild and did their own thing. Housing market went crazy, and we had the big crash in 2007. So, but what in the meantime is competition entered into the banking industry, which was never there before. So in like mid-90s, early 2000s, before you guys had checking accounts, banks were competing to get customers. So they had all these commercials. You might have heard of like lendingtree.com. Anybody heard of lendingtree.com? That's where it came from, deregulation of banking, because, come with us, we have the better mortgage rates. Come with us, we can give you the better deal. All of that was brand new to banking because of deregulation. But what Adam Smith says is that competition is good. And we need competition to get the better goods and services, which is true, but people just went crazy. All right? So, our market system. We're under mixed capitalistic system because, again, we do have some control via our government. All right. Now, with any economic system, there are 5 fundamental questions which we do need to know. All right? And now this you will see again, hint, 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 hint. All right? Every economic system has to answer these questions. Remember the difference between positive and normative economics. This is a part of that philosophy of thought. And what is actually going on in our economy and where should we be? Question number 1, what goods and services are going to be produced in our economy? What are we going to produce? Number 2, how will the goods and services be produced? That comes again, our 5 factors of production. Do we have an educated workforce? Last night, President Obama talked about the free community college. Y'all heard that? Yeah. Okay. Now, here's the key. I talked to colleagues, and this is how we think it's going to play out. It will be free for those programs that already have jobs available. So basically, you go to community college and it's paid for, and as soon as you get out, there's a job for you. So those are going to be the free programs. That's what we surmise. It's not going to be just like everything, but where jobs are.
Won't there be like too many people then?
Yeah.
I don't know how all this else is going, all the details, but again, it's going to be tied to specific jobs. Specific jobs. Give you case in point, and then I'll get your comment, Bernie. The Northampton Community College developed a lineman program for PPNL. You know, people that work on the lines. PPNL came to us and said that we need more people trained for linemen. We developed the program. We trained them. They went from Northampton Community College, finishing that program, to starting at, I think, maybe like $50,000, $60,000 a year. Yes. Oh, and on our website, we have the guys that, there's like 6 or 8 of them. They're on a pole, and it's like we use it as advertisement. They have that chain, and they're hooked all to the same pole. There's like 8 of them.
On the billboard.
Yeah, on the billboard, yeah. And because PPNL said, hey, we need these people trained, we'll do it, no problem. I think that's where you're going to see that free community college. So it's going to be for specific jobs that are available in the country. Bernie, you had a comment?
So if you plan on graduating and continuing your education, it's not for you.
It depends. Like I said, those are specific trained, individuals. But they came out and they're hired by PPNL, and doing well. Question 3, who is going to get the resources? Remember the difference between positive and normative. How will the system accommodate change? Because there's always change. And how will this system promote progress? 5 fundamental questions that every economic system has to answer. All right? Now, when I look at the first question, we got to go where money is. So what's going to be produced is where our dollar votes are going. What people are buying. Remember I told you econ is a social science. Social because we look at human behavior, science because we involve math. So the social part in regards to consumer behavior, dollar votes. How are we going to determine what's going to be produced? Dollar votes, what we call consumer sovereignty. We're not going to produce everything that, that's available. We're going to produce what we can do at the lowest opportunity cost and what's going to sell. And so within our economy, we need to know what works best. So we are going to do a problem.
Stupid question.
No, it's okay.
What does sovereignty exactly mean?
Kind of like almost to kind of put in, kind of almost like equalization, like what is best for the consumer, what's best for the overall economy, kind of equalizing, kind of grounding. Okay, sovereignty. When you're done with this, I'd like you to open up, and I love going through this because it kind of takes me back to page 38. 38. And then we'll go over to do a little bit of a table. The consider this. Now, with your textbook, as I told you, it's not an easy read, but they do put some fun things once in a while in that. So if you have your book open to page 38, let's look at the consider this, the Mick hits and the Mick misses. I think that everything, for the most part, should be a McMiss when it comes to McDonald's. How many have ever seen the commercial, and I haven't been able to get who devised the commercial where they're asking McDonald's what's in their food?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is that like some consumer group, advocacy group? What? I need to find out about that commercial.
I don't know. I think it's...
Has anyone seen it?
I've seen it.
There's a commercial on, and, it's saying, McDonald's, tell us the truth. What's in your food, basically?
But it's ran by McDonald's.
It's ran by McDonald's?
It's ran by
Oh,
McDonald's.
then it's suspect. It's suspect. I thought it was a consumer group.
No, it's ran by
Oh,
McDonald's.
no.
They have like the little thing.
Nah.
You press the button and ask
Because last semester I had students do their research project in this class Two of them did them on GMOs, and within that project, one was talking about McDonald's and their black farms, that this is where they raise the chickens that they use for the McNuggets. They can say it's all white meat, but these chickens, they don't see sunlight. So they're big and fat, and they have like really deformed arms or wings or whatever. So they're real plump, but they're literally deformed chickens. So like McDonald's has to come clean. But anywho, let's look at the McHits and the McMisses. The Hula Burger, 1962, definitely a McMiss. The filet of fish, a hit, still on the menu, right?
This is before most of these people.
Yeah, me too. Strawberry shortcake, McMiss. Big Mac, still hitting it, right? Hot apple pie, still there. Egg McMuffin, still there. Drive-through, still there. 1975. Chicken McNuggets, 1983, still there. Extra value meal, which is like bad. Still here though. McLean Deluxe. Tried to do a little health conscious. Didn't hit it. Didn't make it. Arch Deluxe. 1996. Didn't make it.
Oh my God.
55 cent special McMiss. Don't even remember that one. Big Extra. 1999 McHit. Do they still have the Big Extra? Like I guess you can. What is that? I don't know what that is. Is that like bigger soda?
It says it's a McHit, but I've never heard of that.
It's probably like the super size maybe.
Maybe call it supersized. Okay.
Well, she
All right.
didn't know what a value meal meant. Well,
Okay.
She didn't know there wasn't one before it.
Wow. McSalad Shaker. 2000, not good. McGriddle, McHit. Is that like the pancakes?
Yeah. It's the
Take one of those
breakfast
this morning.
sandwich.
Okay. And the Snack Wrap, 2006. Still kind of going strong.
That salad shaker, they just revamped it.
Oh, they did? Oh, you shake it. Oh. So when we look at dollar votes, what is it that we buy? What is it we don't buy? That's what we call dollar votes. So what is we're going to produce relates to that. Now, want you to take a look at table 2.1. We need to determine how these goods are going to be produced. We do that through a chart that is what we have here on page 39 in your book. So we look at our factors of production. Here we're just using 4: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. We look at how much each of these resources cost. So labor is $2 per unit, land is $1 a unit, capital is $3 a unit, entrepreneurship is $3 a unit. Then we look at various techniques. Which one are we going to use depends on how much each costs. So what we're looking at is that for technique 1, they use 4 units of labor at $2 a piece equals $8. Everybody see that? Land, 1 unit at $1 is going to cost us 1. Capital, 1 unit at 3 is going to cost us 3. Entrepreneurship is going to cost us 1. We're going to use 1 unit for $3. That's 3. So technique 1 costs $15 altogether. So everybody see that, okay? We do the same thing for technique 2 and then for technique 3. Which goods will be produced will be the ones that, remember in econ, I told you efficiency is the name of the game. There can be no waste. All right? So if that is the case, we are going to choose the cheapest technique. So in producing this product, I am going to use technique 2. All right? Yes.
Okay, but if you look at this, now I'm just saying something. The 4 units of labor in the first one, right?
Mhm.
Cut that down to 2 units of labor, but they upped the land to 3. So does that mean they're making the 2 people work harder on more land? Is that what I'm?
No, what is happening there basically when you think of, whatever natural resource, whatever that technique is, it's able to not use as many people, but using more of that resource. Whatever that technique is. Whatever that technique is, they can get it done with fewer people. Now, as we move further into business management, you will understand that labor cost. It costs a company anywhere from 23 to 27% of your salary to employ you. if you are a full-time employee with benefits. So your fringe benefit package, I mean, we know salary is important, but you also have to look at the fringe benefits, the medical, the dental, all of that come into play, and that costs money. So if someone's making, a salary of $50,000, it really might cost that company like $86,000 to have them employed. So if I can cut down on my labor and still get my resource and my resources at a cheaper price per unit, I'm going with it. Okay? So that's what we're looking at in how we decide what we're going to produce. This is 3 techniques. We have $15 worth of bar soap. So we're going to use $13 in production and then be able to have $2 in profit. So let's do a little practice with this. So if you get your book open and your notebook, you can do this in your book. We're going to do a problem with this, and then we'll come back and talk about circular flow. So let's open up the book to the back of chapter 2. And we're going to complete number 4, all right? I'll get you started. All right?
What page?
I'm on page 50. Page 50. All right? So now assume everybody there. And if you don't have a book, please share, because you're going to need to do the problems. And, if you don't have the book, that you can look at someone else's. I do not yell like that. I do not yell like that.
It's just the acoustics. I think the voice travels. I don't think they're yelling. They're just balls of them.
Okay. So I'm going to get you started, and then I'm going to let you finish up. All right. So assume that the business firm finds that its profits is greatest when it produced $40 worth of a product, product A. Suppose also that each of these 3 techniques shown in the table to the right will produce the desired output. With the resource prices shown, which technique should the firm choose? Why? Will production using that technique entail profit or loss? What will be the amount of that profit or loss? Will the industry expand or contract? And when will the expansion or contraction end? All right? So you can refer back to what we've gone over. I want you to work in groups, and I want you to work through this particular problem. Tell me which technique should be used, why, and answer the profit or loss. We're working with $40, okay? Does everybody understand? All right, so go ahead and work together.
Well, wait, no, it's accurate.
Cheaper, no waste.
when it produces 40,000, suppose that what would be enough for someone who thinks it would probably take because they can which was two. Yeah, because it's two. And then you can get the most out of $40 then you can with the resource.
Hako, you working with them? I don't, okay. I don't want anybody there by themselves.
So then what's the point of, oh, that's right, the profit is the greatest when it produces.
I guess it's like you can have 4
Yeah.
I guess random.
I just did this is on the techniques for number 2. Number technique 2 was about
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way to what?
You would probably take the 12, multiply it by 3.
for technique
I said last week, you said cheaper. I said cheaper. Which is all those numbers.
34.
No, but I think he was certified at 3. And then it would be 36.
Oh yeah. On the land acquisition.
No, you're right.
Oh.
Well, I'm multiplying it by 3 because if you get that for, if you multiply, what was that? Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. If you multiply by 4, you're over that person. If you multiply by 3, you'd be under, so you would still be talking about that. If you multiply by 4, yeah, I multiply.
Yeah, that's
Probably expand, but how do we know?
With the resource price,
You're only reasonably on the bottom. So,
the
really,
cheapest
like,
one.
reduce to $1.
Yeah, one more.
Three cents and then it's
One more.
because
Yeah, that's the cheapest technique.
And then what's the next?
We're getting it.
And then, will you expand or contract? Or will you expansion or contraction?
So everybody, letter A, we're choosing technique 2, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
When?
Profit.
Because compared to
I don't
the.
understand the backlash on will that company.
Okay, I'll get to that. All right. I just want to make sure everybody's done before we go over.
I have a question, can we just come over here? I don't want to.
We don't know how you got to 35, 34, 35. I think we're doing it wrong.
Okay,
How do you get 34 technique
I mean, we got technique 2.
okay.
But I said, well, are you on?
Technique 2, all right. So, yeah, $3. Do I need to go back to the other?
Can I just ask one question? At the bottom of technique 1,
Mm-hmm.
that number would be 35. Is that what you're saying?
Think outside the box.
Technique 1 is 35.
Did you?
All right, so technique 2. So you have $3 per acre.
Like, if it goes over $20 the cost.
You're multiple. No, we added
Like
this
expansion
section.
and stuff.
No.
Like,
So you're
just
doing
asking
this.
hypothetically,
So
like,
if technique
we'll
1
was an expansion or contraction.
it'll make a profit once it's really big profit. This is 8, this is 4.
Yeah, like once the cost
And
more,
this is 8, and this is where you get your.
We're gonna be now on profit, so it's
Okay?
I think that in the last question in A.
Okay, I'll get to it, yep.
Okay.
Remember, you have a budget of $40.
Now B, assume not that any or
Whoa.
Okay, can I go through? Because I still need to go to circular flow. Haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so everybody okay with the calculations of the techniques? All right, so we're going to go with technique 2, which has a cost of 34. We're going with our least cost. It asks you, will the industry expand or contract? Obviously, the industry is going to expand because we're working with a budget of $40 worth for that product. So the industry is going to expand. It will expand, and here's the last question on part A. It will expand until the cost of $34 is reached. Because we know and understand, let me just kind of put another line in here, is that we will operate and we will continue to produce until our total revenue equals our total cost. You guys got that from accounting, right? So when our production costs and overall activity is at 34, that's when we're going to stop. So we have $6 to expand from 34 up to 40, and then we'll stop. Okay? Letter B.
Wait, so for part A, for the profit, what was the profit that we made? It would be $6?
$6, yes. It'll be 40, and I should put that here. So it should be 40 minus 34, so our profit is $6. Okay? Which causes our industry to expand.
and like the last question in part A would be my total cost.
When total revenue equals total cost at $34, then will be no additional firms that will enter into that industry.
Okay.
Okay? Then letter B says, assume now a new technique. Did you guys recalculate? Oh, you didn't get that far?
No.
Okay.
Nobody got that far.
Okay, go ahead, recalculate. Now what happens in letter B, we have a new technique. We're adding technique 4, which has 2 units of labor, 2 units of land, 6 of capital, and 3 of entrepreneurial ability. So you're going to recalculate that and then compare technique 4 to the rest of them. So we have technique 1.
You said it'll expand till it reaches 34.
Right, until total revenue equals total cost. How much is technique 4 going to cost us? 32. Has everybody got that? All right. So obviously we're going to adopt technique 4. Yes. We're using the same resource prices. Yes. Question? Question? Okay?
Because it's cheaper, right?
Yeah. Because it is cheaper. Yes.
The profit's more.
Yes. Even more so. Exactly.
No.
All right, so then let's go on to letter C because we have more changes. Suppose now that an increase in the labor cost causes the price of labor to fall from labor's $3, it goes down to $1.50 per unit. All the other resource prices remain the same. Which technique are we going to use now? 1, 2, 3, or 4 if labor goes down to $1.50 per unit?
And then the rest of it is the same.
stays the same?
I know, it does, I raised it.
Okay, so give me the cost of each technique, and then which one would we choose?
I think we'll still calculate.
First one is $27.50.
In 50 cents?
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct.
And the second one is $31. The second technique.
41.
You said
I
31?
thought it was 31.
41
The second one's 31,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
First is
31.
27.5, the second is 31, I think, the third is
Thirty,
$30.50.
And the last, so technique one is
And technique 4?
30, 50.
Yeah, it's 30 flat.
Technique 4.
Yeah.
30 flat.
Okay, so obviously,
They said 30, 50, then they said 30.
okay, and I'm not checking math, so can you?
I'll check.
I think it's 30, right?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
9.
I got 29 for the last technique.
Okay, for which one?
For technique 4?
Yeah.
I got
Yeah, it is
29 as well.
I did too, I got 29.
Okay. All right, but we're going to go with technique 1. It is the cheapest. And then the last part of this question, the market system causes the economy to conserve most in the use of resources that are particularly scarce in supply. Resources that are the scarcest relative to the demand for them have the highest prices. As a result, producers use these resources as sparingly as possible. Evaluate this statement. Does your answer in part C above bear this contention? Yes or no? Is the statement basically logical? When we look at technique 1, so basically we're going to use the resource that costs the most, the least. All right. What is our resource that costs the most from the resources that we have listed? Land. All right. So obviously, when we look at our resources and what is using what between the techniques, technique 1 uses 2 units of land. Technique 2 uses 4. Technique 3 uses 2. Technique 4 uses 2. But when it comes down to the bottom line, obviously it's going to be technique 1. All right. So we're going to use scarce resources as sparingly as possible. So yeah, it does make sense.
Wait a minute, so we would use technique, the answer for D is technique 1?
Well, the answer is this statement logical? Yes, it is. Because we're going to use the resources that cost the most, the least. So technique 2, at that point, we would never use technique 2 because it's using too much of our natural resources, and that's $4 per unit. All right. Now we have to take into consideration the other resources.
So the enterprise ability is the same too. in technique.
Right.
Okay.
But with
Entrepreneurship.
with C, remember our resource of labor dropped down to $1.50 per unit, and technique 1 has the most labor used of any of the other techniques. Why use more labor? Because labor is cheaper. Why pack up and move from York, Pennsylvania, where they used to make Hershey York peppermint patties, and move to Mexico? Because it's cheaper. Okay? All right. So that should set you up for your Connect. You should be good for your Connect assignments. I do want to go ahead and introduce the model and kind of walk through the model and tell you how this basically works. Circular flow model. So that's in the back of your book. If you flip back a couple of pages, the circular flow model and how this operates on page 43. Okay? So we have 4 entities in this circular flow model. We have us as households, we have businesses, we have the resource market, and the product market. So this basically is how it works, and this is the example I use that students can kind of understand. All right, if this is us as households, we have resources to sell. That's our skills, our abilities, and our aptitudes. We go to college. We have a resume. We go to the job market, right? With our resources, go to a job fair, right? Who meets us there? Business representatives in the resource market. They like us, we like them, they offer us a job, right? So we take those resources and we go into businesses and we help build the goods and the services that they sell. But we don't work for free, right? So basically, the cost to the company is what? Our wages that come home with us. So that's kind of how the top part of this market model works. So we have resources, and we take our resources to the resource market. We sell our resources to businesses. Businesses, we're making products and services. They pay us, and now we got paid, and we're at home. Do we stay at home with a paycheck? No. We take that paycheck and we go and we spend it. That's where consumer expenditures comes in. We take that paycheck and we go to the product market. And what are we doing at the product market? We are buying the goods and services that we help produce, right? So we buy at the product market, we give the money to the businesses. They take that money back to the business as a revenue, right? The goods and services that we help produce, they bring to that product market. We buy them in the product market, and then we take them home. Does that make sense? Make sense?
One more time.
One more,
One more
more
time. This is you. So I'm gonna do a little stick figure. This is you. You have some skills. You have some abilities. You go to the resource market and you sell your skills and abilities. They give you a job. You go to the business and you use your skills and abilities at that business to make goods and services. They pay you, which is a cost to the business. It comes back through the resource market to you in the form of wages. You get paid. You take your paycheck, right? And you go to spend. Consumer expenditures. Where do you buy your stuff at? The product market. That's where you're buying those goods and services that businesses bring. And if you had me for marketing, understand the name of the game is exchange, right? Buyers and sellers meet. Where do they meet? In the product market. So you spend your money. They take that money back to the business as a revenue, right? You get the goods and services that were made, and you take your goods and services back home.
Just one question, so say you would supplement labor for land, it would be the same thing, I own the land, I rent it out, I get the rent, so that's my income, I take it and use that, okay.
Yep, to go buy stuff. All right? Now, the part that you will get to a little later, if you want to write this in your notes in your book, there's a big fat G in the middle of this, and that's government. We'll talk about that. All right? So, State of the Union address. Today is Wednesday for Monday, and you probably have Connect stuff as well. Yes.
You want a printed copy?
Yes, I don't accept any handwritten assignments. It all must be typed.
Or I'm saying you don't want it digitally.
No, I'd like you to bring it in because I want us to talk and see what you felt about the union address. Alrighty, have a good weekend. It seems like just got here.
I noticed for your chapter 1, like for the learning content, you had like a lecture video. You don't have those for the other chapters?
Hold on. Let me just kind of get there. Hold on. Let me.